out of the solar system as representing. And while these people didn't fall to their deaths, unfortunately, the first New Zealander to die in Antarctica was on this expedition and fell into a crevasse. So a friend, Dan Price, who's also an EHF fellow, was just on an expedition across the Ross Ice Shelf over here, and he spent 6 weeks out on the ice on this traverse. And it's the first traverse since on the New Zealand side since Hillary and Hillary. So they went from the Scott Base over here to go to these drilling sites here on the edge of the ice shelf in order to drill down and see the ancient history of the ice flows over the last million years. And to get to this, I mean, this is actually a long distance to travel. It's the size of the North Island, and so they have to go through all these crevasse fields. So they have a lot of planning goes into this, a lot of analyzing of what the satellite data can show, and this is where we're trying to help them. This is our statement of the space challenge. So using new or current technologies or data in space or on the ice. Part one is find the best methods to identify hazards and map a path across the ice, and or design or prototype new space sensor systems and algorithms to help vehicles navigate across the ice in Antarctica. So the first part is to dealing with basically converting from remote sensing data and finding and navigating a path. The other part is to dealing with the sensors that are on vehicles, like rovers or anything else. So we see this as taking advantage of these different skills and capabilities in anything from satellite data analysis to sensors, robotics, drones, anything else, and applying them to this challenge. The idea is that they would then can be applied to any extreme environment. There's lots of cases where Antarctica is the extreme case, but the operating in polar regions is certainly applies. We think there's a direct application towards future space applications on navigating on the Moon and Mars and icy worlds, and then there's also lots of commercial applications for that we think can come out of this. So on the current state of the art for the navigation, like for Dan's Traverse, they had an analysis of sort of a human-in-the-loop identification of crevasses from the synthetic aperture radar data, and then the latest radar data that they provided to the people driving in the tractors. And you can see that to go from here over here, they decided to find this way through this crevasse field and then go 50 kilometers out of the way in order to avoid this area and snake their way through these crevasses this way. And basically it becomes a challenge because because it just takes a few seconds of distraction and you're suddenly driving at 20 degrees off from where you thought you were going, and right into the pit. On the vehicle itself, the kind of sensors they have ground penetrating radars on a boom sticking out in front of the lead vehicle. They have this the satellite image here and the ground penetrating radar data here streaming across, and if they see something like this, then they know there's a giant hole under there. And so we only get 4 seconds of warning as you're driving. You also get a hint if your boom suddenly falls through the ice. You should stop driving at that point. So in Greenland, they've tested driving a little rover around, zigzagging and trying to map the crevasses around. but on Dan's drive, whenever they found a hole, they had to go out and poke it and see how thick it was to see if they could drive over. And NASA did some other experiments with rovers, but it's certainly worth another look at what rovers might be able to give you. They were able to fly a drone during nice weather, but you can see that the weather wasn't always nice, and so and running batteries in Antarctica is a really tough problem. So these are the details of the criteria around the website, but this is generally the using of space-related technology, technical feasibility, and innovative solution are the main ones. There's also ease of implementation, also team composition, and there's a preference for prototypes or proof of concepts. But if you just propose ideas, that's also invited, and you can be either in the satellite data analysis, or it can be the sensors and rovers and drones category. We're collecting resources and making them available as we find them, including things like access to satellite data, and we'll be collecting more on the state of the art. There's some reports from the Committee of the National Antarctic Programs that's produced their identified needs, because we think there's an opportunity where if you come up with solutions, one of our sponsors is this committee of 30 different national Antarctic programs that could be a market for winners of this prize. So the prize in the competition, the competitors keep all the intellectual property. They can make a business out of it or market it as they want. So it's we're just trying to encourage them and give them opportunities to demonstrate their skills. We are, as Emily mentioned, we are creating a portal of where people can sign up and express their interest. We have teams create organizations, and we're developing things like forums, chats, and stuff like that inside the teams. Hopefully this week, next week.
Yeah. So when we get back to the mechanics of the challenge. So the timeline is essentially we kicked off February 1st in Christchurch, and the challenge is open right now for 3 months. You can basically send your application as late as April 30. It's all online. We're using a slide room up in the cloud for applicants to actually start registering. And it's a two-tiered thing. So essentially, there's like 5 regions, of which, for example, Auckland, Northlands, and Bay of Plenty is like on one. You actually, if you're an applicant, you compete in your own region, and there's going to be judging and evaluation in that region. And by the 16th of May, the finalists from each of the regions will be announced. And those finalists, so there's going to be 5 of them, will come to Christchurch during Tech Week on May 24th to pitch, and then we'll determine who actually is the grand prize winner. So again, the application requirements is very, very simple. Essentially, these are the main sort of like elements to it, and maybe the 2 things that to point out is the pitch presentation, which is like a 20 slide presentation that you would upload, and a short video about what you've actually done, either if you have a prototype or an idea, or how you're going to lay it out, or your roadmap for like tackling the solution. In terms of the prize, as I mentioned, so the grand prize winner gets $40,000. But the finalists, the 5 finalists from each of the region will also get in-kind incubator support. So at least about 6 months in a place like Grid for mentorship as well, and getting their ideas and projects to flourish and develop. Then also, one representative of the team will get travel expenses to come to Christchurch during May 24th to pitch. And then again, for all of the applicants, we're opening up like a community, we're creating a community, we're opening up all of the technical resources for this as well. So even if you don't finish the application, there's definitely information in there and resources that you might be able to use for your own. So how can you get involved? Again, in terms of the challenge, of course, we'll be here for a bit after the presentation. If you have any questions, applications at nzspacechallenge.com. But also there's an FAQ section on the website as well. And as we mentioned, there's resources now on the SpaceBase portal. And then we created a YouTube channel as well, where we're putting all of the videos that have come from all of the briefings that we've gone to. For the application, again, it's an online application form. The link is on the website. And again, we're in the long run, even beyond this challenge, we are actually creating a community. We're trying to basically help people find each other who are interested in space to actually work on ideas and projects. So we are working on the SpaceBase portal as we go, and hope that you'd be able to join us there as well. So I will end this first part here. And again, we are so grateful for all of the partners that we've that have collaborated with us since we kind of like pitched this just 3 months ago. And this is the kind of our major sponsors. We have regional and promotional sponsors as well. And so, yeah, if we're also still looking for partners. If you're in that capacity as well, please come and talk to us. So before I turn it over to Eric, any questions on the first part?
So are you looking to solve this problem of transport across the ice shelf, or is it more about finding future staff for a space industry in New Zealand?
Both. So I think one of the main motivations of the challenge is really to solve an actual inherent problem. So, and this is a problem, like as you can see from Dan's video, that it's something that it's really needed, and it's affecting how science and research is being done in Antarctica. So that's one. The other thing is that, as I mentioned, it's the challenges for the price of one winner. You catalyze a community and you catalyze an industry because it's a way of birthing ideas and potentially startups and businesses. The other thing as well is with the way that the challenge is set up, because it's like regional, it also helps the regions to find and highlight the people who are good at this, or potentially find those people that have not just had the chance to show their talent.
So it's a casting net for other fish.
Yeah.
If New Zealand does get a Silicon Valley for space exploration, where will it be located? In Wellington?
I think I will differ from answering that. I think any region in New Zealand can actually be a part of this. I actually normally I think about, you know, when I showed that slide with all of those potential markets, you can have one region in New Zealand be like specialized in one thing, and then have another region be specialized in another. So it could be like robotics in, like, say, Christchurch. Could be sensors in Auckland, or something else. Data analysis, like down in Dunedin. So I think the whole entire country can actually be part of this.